Ah yes, Luigi's Mansion. Such an underrated classic for its time. And my, how silly people were back in the early 2000s. My name is JuniorAlexanderLeiva, aka Mr. Awesome, and here's 10 reasons I love Luigi's Mansion. Side note, this includes the both GameCube and 3DS versions, so... Number 1. Luigi is the main focus. Move over, Mario. Luigi's ready to step out of your shadow and prove to the world he is the better Mario brother. Luigi's Mansion emphasizes a spotlight on Luigi. I mean, when you play the game, Luigi cowardly hums, and it's kind of adorable. From his cowardly humming, deathly screams, and pure joy, Luigi feels much more relatable than Mario has ever felt before. I mean, let's take two scenarios. Compare this Luigi versus Mario in Super Mario Sunshine. Mario in Sunshine just feels like, he's just there. But Luigi in Luigi's Mansion, he feels more human, more relatable. It's literally night and day comparing these two. And it's amazing to see that an underrated gem such as Luigi's Mansion set a precedent for Luigi's character and his personality in future appearances. Number 2, unique gameplay. When you think of a Mario game, you think of the usual power-ups, running, and jumping, right? Well, Luigi's Mansion has literally none of that. Luigi himself only has a flashlight and a vacuum. And despite the fact that these are just household items, they add a lot of fun value into this game. And it's kind of crazy to imagine a vacuum could be this much fun to use. Capturing ghosts in this game, yes, it's a multi-step process. You take your little flashlight, you shine it onto their heart, and then you suck them up with your vacuum. It sounds stupid, explaining it, but in action it's pretty fun. The way the developers made this handle is honestly the fun part of Luigi's Mansion, and it kind of makes you a little interested in finding what the ghost's weaknesses are. Some of them have to yawn, some of them have to dance. It's kind of an interesting gameplay mechanic you've really never seen before. And even with the process of catching ghosts, I never felt like it got tedious or repetitive. Even with certain bosses like Boolosses, you have to use the ice mechanic to freeze the boos, and you rinse and repeat doing that, but it felt fun and refreshing to do despite there being a lot of boos. Hell, even walking in the hallways of the mansion is a pretty fun thing to do since, it's spooky and eerie, but Luigi's having fun with it. He's humming to the tune of the music. And let's not forget that in usual games, when you hit the A button, you jump and stuff, but in Luigi's Mansion, once you hit the A button, you start calling out for Mario, and I don't know, if you ask me and other people that play Luigi's Mansion, this is kind of a staple to the game itself, Number 3, music. Luigi's Mansion's music didn't have to be this good. I mean, it's a horror game, and when you think about it, there's not really any horror tracks in the game, and even the music that's supposed to sound horror-ish just ends up sounding fun in a disturbingly scary way. Luigi's Mansion does a terrifyingly good job at blending the music and gameplay. Case in point, Luigi. He hums and whistles the theme while the theme plays. Number 4, the mansion itself. I can't believe I'm putting the mansion itself as a reason, but I can't help it. The mansion itself really feels like a real place that can actually exist. I mean, I can see someone make this mansion in real life. With a few tweaks and small adjustments and additions, this mansion can definitely be recreated. It has multiple rooms, each with their own theme. It has a study, a dance hall, a music room, a pool room, a clock room, dining areas, and much more. When I play Luigi's Mansion, I already feel like I've been there before because I know the place that good. It feels like I'm just walking at a school and I know where each classroom is. So if they want me to go to a certain room, I just walk to it. It isn't like, oh my god, where am I going next? I don't know where this room is. None of that shit. I have a request for those talented viewers out there. Can someone please make a VR game where you just explore the mansion? I mean, that'd be fantastic. You just walk down the halls and you get scared and stuff. I'm surprised Nintendo doesn't capitalize on the idea of making VR games of existing, environments. Imagine walking through Peach's Castle or Hyrule Field in VR with Nintendo Labo. Number 5. Curiosity equals rewards. Luigi's Mansion is a game with two main objectives. One is obvious, but the other one isn't until the end of the game. So, while you're playing Luigi's Mansion, you're sucking up ghosts and exploring the mansion. But have you ever opened the furniture, like the drawers, or look in vases or in little mouse holes? And when you do, you get rewarded. You get money, and you get lots of money thanks to it. And, it doesn't seem like a big deal until you beat the game, and then the game shows you that the amount of money you've collected determines which house Luigi gets at the end. So, my advice when playing the game, in order to get the best ending possible, is just to be curious. Look into mouse holes, fall into chimneys, knock on vases, and hump the furniture. And you'll get yourself that money to get that better ending. I mean, it's a satisfying feeling when you find that secret room. So remember, unless you're a cat, don't be afraid to be curious. You'll never know what it takes you. Awesome, you made it to the halfway point of the video. Make sure to hit that like button because, as for every video of mine, my goal is 25 likes. So let's get that before the next Luigi's Mansion video. Thank you in advance. Number 6. It's a short game. I'll be honest, this might be a turnoff for some players who are seeking to be invested in a game for hours and hours. But let's be honest, there's people out there like me who are here for a good time, but not a long time. Luigi's Mansion is a 4 to 6 hour game, at around average. And it took me personally 4 YouTube live streams to beat the game, and it honestly felt refreshing to play a game that I know wasn't going to take a long time to beat. Especially since I'm doing the road to Luigi's Mansion, it just felt like something I can knock out quick, but have fun with it. But besides, this game has a lot of secrets to it. It's always fun to find and discover new things every playthrough. I've noticed that I've played Luigi's Mansion once every year since I started my YouTube career. And each time I've gotten better at where the things are in the games. And you'll be familiar with the puzzles and tasks you have to do. So, if you're starting a new file right after you beat the current game, that 6 hour gameplay time can easily drop to 3 hours if you're skilled enough. So, if you haven't given Luigi's Mansion a try, go do so. It's a really short game, it's not going to take much out of your day. Number 7. It's both on Nintendo Gamecube and Nintendo 3DS. We all know that Gamecube games are hard to come around these days, since there's no way to play these games outside of the Gamecube and Wii, in a legal way. And let's be honest, most players nowadays don't even have a Gamecube, or most young viewers have probably never even seen one. But for those folks out there, Nintendo remade Luigi's Mansion for the Nintendo 3DS. And, well, I'll be honest, my opinions are a little mixed on the 3DS port. I can confidently say that what has been added to this port can justify what has essentially been watered down. Like the full C-stick control, because motion controls kind of suck on the 3DS. But, nonetheless, Luigi's Mansion 3DS is a good entry point, and if you really want to get into this franchise and you don't have a GameCube and you're not a pirate, play the 3DS version. And then get into Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, because that's another good game. And then you can play Luigi's Mansion 3 on Switch, so you don't have to go out buying a GameCube when you can easily play the 3DS version. Number 8, multiplayer. So this only applies to the 3DS version because the GameCube unfortunately didn't have this. For those lucky individuals that have friends who own a second 3DS, you can play the whole Luigi's Mansion adventure with 2 players. That's really dope if you ask me. Just imagine going to a family reunion or a friend's house, such as my friend Harold, and you meet up with your favorite cousin or your best friend, and you sit down and you play Luigi's Mansion the entire time. You'll get the game done in like 4 hours, and since the game is so frantic, you're bound to have laughter and joy while you're playing the game. So, go pull up that second 3DS you're not using and give it to a friend. Number 9, the Portrait Ghost. Unlike recent Mario games, Luigi's Mansion took a completely original turn, and it didn't play it safe at all. I mean, in the game, there's no Goomba, Koopa Troopa, or Koopalings in sight. And surprisingly too, because if this franchise were to be created today, I bet you dollars to donuts that the enemies would have just been generic dead Mario enemies, like dry bones or like a skeleton Goomba. And honestly, that's super boring. I hate when Nintendo plays it safe like this. And I love it when Nintendo just goes out of their comfort zone. Like Super Mario Odyssey, for example, like New Donk City. There's humans in a Mario game, and when that was unveiled, people were really going, you know, they weren't going nuts, but they were like, oh man, this is totally original. And I honestly wish Nintendo kept its originality in all their games. And I have to be honest, I think we have to thank Luigi's Mansion for that. Because the bosses in this game, they're all basically humans. And before this game, in the main Mario canonical timeline history shits, there's really no humans, you know? Games nowadays like Mario Party 9, Mario Party 10, and the last two entries in the Paper Mario franchise all just feel generic. Like, they all just use Toads and Goombas and like Koopa Troopas, and they really don't have any personality to them. I'll give you guys an example. When you walk into a room to suck up a portrait ghost, they're doing their own thing. They're brushing their hair, they're knitting, they're eating. Some of them are even dancing. And when you find their weak spot, you suck them up. You know, it's interesting gameplay you're dealing with. I can just imagine if Nintendo played it safe. You walk into a room, you see a Goomba. What do? Like, you jump on it and that's it? No, Nintendo was really original with this. Nintendo found a way to make ghost capturing fun just because they used the human element to it. Humans are vulnerable at certain points, you know? It's like you could be watching TV at home and someone could rob your house and then, you know, you're really at your most vulnerable moment. Make sure to go lock your doors, kids. You don't want to let strangers in. I'll be making a video about the portrait ghost pretty soon, so make sure to hit that subscribe button and check it out. Number 10. Establishes Mario lore. At this point in time, back in the early 2000s, the Mario series was starting off, and there wasn't much between the NES era to the N64 era to define the characters, you know, besides Mario. But here in Luigi's Mansion, it set the foundation for future games to come. Case in point, Luigi's personality. Luigi's personality in Luigi's Mansion shines so much that every game after this really made Luigi feel like who he was in Luigi's Mansion. Luigi's Mansion still gets represented till this day in games like Mario Kart and Smash Brothers. Hell, even the plot of Super Mario Sunshine revolves thanks to Luigi's Mansion. Thanks to Professor Egad giving Bowser Jr. the paintbrush. And speaking about Professor Egad, he helped the Mario Brothers through time travel. He built carts for them, and he's even made a party board for them back in Mario Party 5. And to think a game like Luigi's Mansion didn't really catch many people's attention back in the day, helped set the groundwork for future games, was a good thing to see happen, since it was considered an underrated gem. Alright, did you like Luigi's Mansion when you first heard of it? If you haven't played it, go do yourself that favor and buy the game for the 3DS or Gamecube. Like I said before, it's really short, and it's a real blast to go through. Shout out to my current YouTube members. You guys put that pizza in my pepperoni. Make sure to buy your very own Mr. Awesome merch and be a part of these good looking individuals on screen. And as always, thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed my 10 reasons. I want to hear yours down in the comment section down below. Who knows, if I see 10 completely unique reasons, I'll make a follow-up video. Drop a like and hit that subscribe button for more Luigi's Mansion related videos. And as always, stay golden.